presented by Kia.
Welcome to the NBA Countdown Playoff Preview. We are coming at you live from above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17. He's Stephen A. Smith, Jalen Rose, Malika Andrews, Michael Wilbon will be with us in just a moment live from Phoenix. But, my friends, the play-in, the playoffs, they are set. And we're going to start by taking a look at the West because it has been a wild journey to get to this point, a wild Sunday. But the top six is set. So coming into the day, the Nuggets, the Grizzlies, the Kings, the Suns, they were locked into the top four spots. The Clippers, they battled back. They claimed the 5 seed. The Warriors, they win in convincing fashion and secure the 6th spot. So that sets up our play-in tournament as follows. The Lakers, they host the Timberwolves in that 7-8 matchup. The winner clinches the 7th seed. And then the Pelicans and the Thunder, they square off in the 9-10 game. The winner faces the loser of the Lakers-Timberwolves for the 8th and final spot. And as our Adrian Wojnarowski has reported, the Timberwolves will be without Jaden McDaniels for that play-in game against the Lakers. They will also, the fate as of Sunday for Rudy Gobert is still unknown. So Stephen A. Smith, when you're looking at this play-in matchup, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that the Lakers are going to advance to go up against the Memphis Grizzlies in the 7-game series, that they've got a legitimate shot at winning because Steven Adams is out and Brandon Clark is out. And obviously that compromises Memphis's front line. It's going to see how pivotal Jaren Jackson is to all of us. We know how incredibly talented he is, but he's prone to get into foul trouble, and you've got to monitor and watch that. The other thing that I say about it is that I'm able to say all of those things and just significantly just bypass the Minnesota Timberwolves because of the stupidity and the idiocy of these guys. You're Rudy Gobert. You're about to go into the postseason, and you're going to punch a teammate on national television in front of a whole bunch of people, as well as your teammate. You're Jaden McDaniels. You're going to punch a wall. You're approaching the playoffs. You're in the play-in game. What could you have possibly been so mad about that you literally punch something and break your hand and you're out for the season? This is idiocy at one of its highest levels, and it's costed the Minnesota Timberwolves relevancy. The only reason we're talking about them is because of how stupid they appear right now.
Wilbon?
Wasn't it just a year ago we sat in similar places talking about the Timberwolves majoring in dumb? I mean, I know I should use the word immaturity, you know, and be a little less agitated, but I am agitated. I mean, because you want to see Anthony Edwards surrounded by a team. This is one of the rising young stars in the league. And you get to the playoffs, and the way he's played, you know, after the All-Star break, it's like, I want to see him. And I want to see how good they can be with Karl Anthony Towns back in there, among other things. And then you get more dumb from the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is year after year after year. How many years can they do this? I mean, they were set up to be in a position to at least be competitive with that bottom group and get into the real playoffs. And now, Stephen A., I'm totally with you. I think the Lakers probably will and ought to take them apart in their single-game play-in situation. And Minnesota just said, let us help you. Let us pick you up and help you knock the daylights out of us in this postseason game.
When the Lakers were looking for a coach, one of the reasons why I felt Darvin Ham would get the job, because he'd be a guy that motivate Anthony Davis. And yes, LeBron James broke the overall scoring record this year, but afterwards he was injured. Anthony Davis balled out like an all-NBA performer. And the same Darvin Ham reinvented this roster multiple times this year with D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura. Now all of a sudden, this is a different team without Russell Westbrook that he now navigates. To Stephen A's point, to get to play at home in this play-in, they're going to wax Minnesota on their home floor and have a legitimate chance to upset the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round. I will pick Memphis because they have Ja and they have home court advantage. But the Lakers, the basketball guys have shined down on them and put them in position to continue to advance.
Well, they're certainly not the 2-10 Lakers that started the season. They're adding Tristan Thompson. They're adding Shaq Harrison to their roster. And now we all expect, because especially with a depleted Minnesota Timberwolves team, to see them advance to the playoffs. I do want to kick around a couple of other series that we're looking at here in the West. The Kings series against the Golden State Warriors, Stephen A., and the Phoenix series against the Clippers. Remember, this is the first time that we are going to see Kawhi and Kevin Durant. The last time we saw them go head-to-head in the postseason, unfortunately, that is the game game that Kevin Durant tore his Achilles. So we're going to see that for the first time. But of these two series, which one intrigues you the most?
I think it's Golden State versus Sacramento. I mean, think about the two areas. Think about them being about an hour and a half apart. Think about the fact that Mike Brown was an assistant on Steve Kerr's bench. Think about the fact that this is the most high-powered offense in the National Basketball Association, and Golden State is number 2 behind them. Think about the defensive deficiencies that Sacramento has had, and think about what Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, and the crew can do to a team with defensive deficiencies. And then think about the locale. Think about how close they are. Think about that fan base in Sacramento that hasn't been relevant for 2 decades, and they're back in the playoffs pretty much for the first time since that time, since the days of Vlade Divac and Peja Stojakovic and Mike Bibby and the crew with C. Webb and them. Think about what it once was, and think about now the chance that they have, because De'Aaron Fox can ball, Sabonis can ball, Keegan Murray can ball, Harrison Barnes is a former champion with the Golden State Warriors, and they're in close proximity. This is going to be a special matchup. It's must-see television, and that crowd in Sacramento is something special. I remember that, and I ain't been there in 20 years.
I agree with you, and since you crushed those points, I'm just going to make sure I acknowledge the other series. So the Phoenix Suns add Kevin Durant. They're 8-0 with him, but they've only played 8 games together.
Yep.
That's a small sample size going into a playoffs with a team that isn't as deep as their opponent. And Tyronn Lue, a championship-level coach, is going to understand how to navigate that depth. Obviously, when you don't have Paul George, you're not going to be a better basketball team. But Kawhi Leonard, these last 2 months, has been his old dominant self out there on the floor. Russell Westbrook has reinvented himself with the Clippers. And also they have the kind of size up front that can frustrate and make DeAndre Ayton work and possibly even get him into foul trouble. Playing against, CP3 playing against his former team in the Clippers. That's going to be intriguing.
Grab your popcorn, but Michael Wilbon, which one are you asking Stephen A. to fire up the private jet to go to?
Well, I'm sitting here in the desert, and I'm also sitting in a market, Malika, where this could be the only 4-sport market where the NBA team is the team, where they create more sizzle, more than the NFL team franchise, because the Suns were here first, and they've never won a championship, as you all know. And this is the time now where they got there 2 years ago, but they've added Kevin Durant to that mix. And it's an obsessive environment right now as they go into this series against the Clippers, who they beat a couple of years ago. That was conference finals to get to the finals. But I'm gonna deal with Golden State and Sacramento. Stephen A., I'm glad you mentioned De'Aaron Fox, who I think is the most unseen, unknown, terrific player in the NBA. I mean, people just don't know. People say light the beam. They don't know what light the beam means. You know, it's probably east of, I don't know, Nevada. I know because I'm out here west enough. But De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, and particularly Fox, who I have on my All-NBA team this year, he's been fabulous in all kinds of ways that people are unfamiliar with. So I'm excited to see that series, him paired and matched with the great and incomparable Steph Curry. As much as I love what's going to happen here in the desert with the Clippers and the Suns, the thing I can't wait to see, to be honest, is Golden State against Sacramento.
Well, there's a few things that the audience needs to hear. Number one, Mike Wilbon, if I do get the private jet, he'll help me pay for it. That's number one. Let's get that out the way, okay? That man's made enough money over the year. He can help me pay for it. That's number one. Number two, De'Aaron Fox is relevant to me because it is the only argument I have ever seriously got into with Irvin Magic Johnson, the greatest point guard that ever played, because I wanted him to draft De'Aaron Fox, and he was sold on Lonzo because from Chino Hills. I'm like, hell with all of that. I saw what De'Aaron Fox did to that brother in the NCAAs. I don't care about that. This brother's the guy you need to draft. That's the only argument we ever had. And number three, to your point, Jalen, about Russell Westbrook. He has been a welcomed addition to the Clippers, which I assumed would happen. He's been great. They've improved offensively across the board. There's one thing we got to pay attention to, though. They have struggled in the half-court offense with him. Open court, yes. Offensive efficiency, yes. But in the half-court, they have struggled. The game slows down come postseason time. you're going to have to do more half court efficient. You got to be more efficient in the half court. That is a concern for the Clippers, especially against Phoenix.
Next on NBA Countdown, the Suns